Alright, so boom, Beyond Two Souls. Alright, before I get into like the topic of this video, like let me just say, let me just tell you how much I love this game. It's one of my favorite games. It's not like, it's not top 10, but it is a work of art. I really enjoy the characters and I love the decision making you're getting put into. The scenarios and like the overall, like the gameplay isn't, it's a little iffy, but that's what you can expect from like those type of games. But the story carried it, and it's really thrilling to see the story. Now in today's episode, man, we're talking about the two options you get when you, I mean the first two options you see when you first start up the game, and they have a story like chronological. You could go chronological, or you could go story mode, or like something size, similar to that. And I wanted to talk about what's better, why is there two versions, and which one's the best for like your story experience. All right, so let me take you back around like 2 years when I first played the game. I got it all free on PlayStation Plus. Games, I'm a little broke right now. Ain't got the bread, but I did downloaded it, enjoy it, and I played the game in the storyteller like option. And basically, for those who don't know, storyteller is they hop around the story. So like, picture a timeline, and the timeline jumps from her being a kid to her being a teenager, her being an adult, and stuff like that. And of course, the chronological order is in chronological, so kid to teen to adult, and so on. I enjoyed the story, but I've seen other people, well, more other people played the game wanted to play it in like chronological order. You know what I mean? And then I seen it from that perspective, and it was like it felt pretty much the same. Now let me just talk about chronological order for a second. Chronological is normally basic stories will follow this lead or whatnot. Like you will go start from here, and then it's a build up, right? A straight build up, a straight like incline of like the story. You know what I mean? But for the storyteller function, it's kind of like it has the same slope. It's the same as the chronological order, and I wanted to talk about the differences. All right, so let's get back onto chronological order real quick and talk about the uh, the sort of chapters. Now, listen, this game has so many chapters, but I simplified it just for y'all. All right, so the chapters that go in chronological order is kid, teen, CIA, adult, and climax. All right. Basically, kid is when she's a kid, it goes through like her living in her home to her having powers, and then they gotta move. She gets moved to like a lab, a scientific lab for superpower things or whatever, because she's not normal. It's all the way up until then she goes to like she's like grown up now, it's like teenish, and that's where the teen chapter comes in, and when she's like going out, her rebellious phase, like her really trying to understand, like yo, my parents really left me here, like, you know what I mean, stuff like that. And then later on throughout her teenager years, the CIA picked her up because they saw some viability in her and whatnot. So the next chapter is CIA, where she's like helping out on missions, doing missions, covert intel, stuff like that. And then she leaves. She abandons CIA because they lied to her about some crazy junk. Like, yo, you gotta play this game, son. But listen. Adult is Jody running away from like all the niggas. The CIA niggas, they chasing her. Her getting she heard like basically going to town. She goes through some of her low points there. That's one of my favorite chapters. And of course, the climax is basically any from there when she gets back up with Osborn. You know what I mean? Anything from there on, like her going through the capsule, fighting basically the evil Ivans and stuff like that. It was like, yo, the whole thing was terrible, but that's basically the chapters like condensed and summarized. And that's how the chronological order goes, right? And throughout that, you can see like the build up from when she's a kid, where her powers is out of control, to teen and stuff like that. You can see how it goes straight up. And I wanted to talk about why the storyteller mode basically does the same thing, but well, obviously they skip around, but they have the same effect, right? So first off, I believe when the storyteller function starts, I literally just looked at this and I already forgot. I believe that she starts as a kid, so you still have that base of like like you know her this is her as a small like little infant, little baby. No, first scene for both of, no matter which order you pick, is them starting off in the sheriff's office, going through it's basically trying to give foreshadowing, yeah, foreshadowing to a particular event that's gonna happen. So you're like, oh, why is she being chased? What's wrong with her head? Why is she bleeding? Like stuff like that. It's getting crazy. And then after you get like flashed to like the current present, it's yes, her starting off. It's her basically wrecking a SWAT, and then you get like it puts you on the timeline that you choose. If you choose storyteller, it puts you in her, in like the kid state, without like the kid state of you being at home. It just gives you the kid state of you being in the research office. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, why is she here? And then you do your little test, and like you see that she has like powers and whatnot, and she's trying to control it. Then you skip around, and the next time skip is all the way to CIA, and you're doing one of her covert missions, trying to find some intel and stuff. And then as soon as that mission is done, you go straight to teen. And and that's interesting to me because it shows. I think that the reason that the slope or the curve is the same thing is because when you don't have context, it will put you the next chapter will put you directly into context. Like for example, when you see her as a kid, going to all the science labs, and it look like she have no more life until you realize it's like a lab, and you see, oh, she got all the power. She can really hurt somebody. She can move things through walls. Then you go directly to a covert mission. People saying co-op, but listen, but you go straight to a secret mission for the CIA, and it shows the viability of those powers. So it's saying like, oh, use them in this scenario as a test, and then in your life you use this to accomplish a goal. You know what I mean? So that's why it always has an answer for where it puts you. It says, oh, you want to know this, or you want to test out this feature that you just learned. They'll put you in a scenario where you will learn those features. And it does this all the time in the game. Like it'll move back from CIA to kid to that, and it starts both chronological and the storyteller mode starts off it starts you off in the sheriff's office, but when it actually starts you off is that you start. The chronological is you at home as a kid before you get your answer to the science lab, and storyteller is when you're a kid at the science lab, and then it jumps from there to there. And then they both end with climax, which is basically the last few chapters of fighting off all the items so they don't invade the world. Or I ain't gonna lie, I was a little confused, but hey, it was a good story. Listen. But I feel like that implementation of putting you in a scenario to learn, and then the next chapter putting you in a scenario to use what you just learned, is an amazing way to make it a seamless tutorial in game, obviously, and also give context. Cause trust me, there's like 20 chapters in this game plus, but some chapters are just there to give you context. So it could be a chapter that's like 20 minutes long, just tell you like what Jodie's been doing between this point and this point. And I'm talking about the storyteller mode in this example. So they'll jump you around to it'll, for example, it'd be like Jodie is like really strong in this chapter, but then you jump to a chapter where she was like at her weakest point, about to commit self-death and whatnot. And then it was like it shows how it gives context, and it shows first that gives you like, oh, what happened, how did this happen, and then it gives you context. So it always is basically the same as chronological, because chronological order is you always having context. It would be like as a kid you always have context with chronological, but you have a build up. Instead of you saying how did that happen, you say what's next. So chronological is what's next, and the storyteller mode is how did this happen. And in each chapter, you'll get to the progression in each respective field. Like yeah, this game it really gives me like it brings me back, man. This game is like not one of my top favorites, but it's a good narrative story game. It's made by people that made Detroit Become Human and Heavy Rain. I still gotta play Heavy Rain. Bro, that game is crazy. I tried 3 times. I'm alright. I might play Heavy Rain. We'll see. We'll see. But other than that, that's all I gotta say. Wait. I do gotta say one more thing. Roll my outro. Why don't you come